we mean by referring to multicultural educational context? Multiculturalism is a descriptive concept. It describes a context characterized by the co-presence of people with a different cultural background. In this context, relationships are intercultural because people involved interact, perceive, attribute meanings, and behave according to their own cultural background. In multicultural classrooms, diverse cultural backgrounds can particularly impact on teacher-student interactions and on students-peers interaction. It is fundamental to define the concept of culture in order to understand multicultural classroom interactions and how cultural diversity can impact them. Culture includes learning from kinship groupings such as tribe, ethnic group, or national, but also from gender, age, profession, occupation, class, religion, region, and so on. Members of cultural group share some characteristics, and they understand and interact with each other through their cultural shared sense-making process, language, values, beliefs, practices, habits, and interactive norms that define them and differentiate them from others. Contemporary theories of culture argue against national identity representing a culture, since culture, identity, and national identity are complex, dynamic, and multifaceted constructs, and since one language or one nationality do not equal necessarily one culture. National groups are internally heterogeneous and not homogeneous, and culture or cultural identity is not interchangeably with nation, national identity, or with nationality. A broader, more complex, and multifaceted concept of culture includes more layers of cultural identity, which influence people's experiences and reciprocal perceptions and behaviors. We can use the metaphor of an onion to understand how different layers of cultural identity influence people's behavior and sometimes even differently across different contexts. I'm not only Italian. I'm an Italian woman, white, belonging to the X generation, an intercultural professionist, quite familiar and confident with digital tools, a traveler, a sporty person, and so on. And in different interactive contexts, different layers of my identity can have different relevance. One of the biggest challenges that teachers face is how to teach effectively in a multicultural class, in person or online, where students enter with their own pedagogical habits, drawn from their experience because of their country of origin, their age, their gender, and so on. As an example, students coming from Anglophone countries are largely used to active and collaborative methodologies, while students coming from Russia or from Central Asian countries with distant suffix, such as Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and so on, or students coming from China, do not really use to interact with instructors in class, but they tend to listen, make an exercise where they have to implement what they learned in class, and it's very difficult to engage them in group collaboration or in asking questions. It is worth stating the question: do students, and particularly international students, have to adapt to the locally followed methodologies, or do teachers need to consider different teaching and learning styles in their class planning and class interaction modalities? Often there is a bias which influences the academic expectations that international students need to adapt to the local teachers' class modalities. However, what exactly this teaching and learning styles adaptation consists is not always well clarified to them. It's important to remember that in every intercultural relationship, it takes two to tango, which means intercultural relationships require at least the intention of reciprocal adaptation and adjustments. But most of the teachers generally lack understanding about cultural diversity in the classroom, mostly due to limited intercultural experience or of intercultural training. In practice, this means that university lecturers may not consider the students' cultural diversity and how this can impact on students' classroom different behaviors and interactions, or on learning process and outputs. Neither they are able to leverage cultural diversity in class as an opportunity for intercultural understanding and mutual learning. Interculturally sensitive teachers take learning approaches across cultural differences into consideration, and they are able to determine how effective experiential learning could be as compared to more traditional teaching style based on new information and knowledge shared. If adequately trained, they can also support their students' intercultural and global competencies development. That's what we would expect from you. Enjoy your intercultural learning journey.